Without fixing the distortions and anomalies of these two, which are the Jehovian seals, so they are seals that need to be removed, and without fixing the calcification in the pineal gland, we will not wake up. It is imperative that we do this work in order to wake up and maintain a sound and healthy mind and body. It goes without saying that there are other practices as well that need to supplement these two essential practices, such as 12D protection, daily spiritual hygiene, detoxing the mind and body, detoxing the home and work environment, reducing EMFs, radiation, etc. However, once you have the pineal gland decalcified and J seals removed, you can pretty much detect anything in the environment that just doesn't look or feel right for you. And you can redeem your health and live in wholeness and wellness, begin your journey towards the self without the boundaries and the hindrances that most people face should they choose to ignore these two essential steps. So here we go. I will be talking about signs of calcifications of the pineal gland first, and then I will address the J seals and where they are in the body and how to permanently decalcify the pineal and remove the J seals that cause the disturbances in our life, that cause ill health, depression, and many other things. So let's deep dive now. First thing is decalcifying the pineal gland. The signs of that indicate that your pineal gland is calcified. First thing is mental fogginess. So if you have that mental fog, possibly with or without migraines and headaches, loss of sleep, reduced concentration, low memory levels, low disturbed and disrupted sleep, reduced intuition, headaches, migraines, and fatigue, this could be a sign that your pineal gland is calcified. Now, how do we calcify? So the first thing first, which is pretty much the go-to for everybody who's trying to regain their health, is to look at their diet. So first thing is eat a diet rich in essential nutrients. So, you know, with that one, it goes without saying, everything that's green, everything that's organic, that's fresh, that's clean, preferably homegrown. You know, if not, we try our best to source locally and, you know, rather than things that come in packages. Chlorella supplements, if you do grow them, you can just cut that grass and chuck them in your smoothies, in your shakes. Other herbs as well, like ginkgo biloba, which is super important for pineal gland. Mugwort is another herb that you can use. Another thing is to reduce processed foods. It's pretty well-known fact, that one, that with the preservatives, the MSG, the salt, you know, all these things that they put in cans and packaged foods, if you can eliminate those, that would be good, because they do cause the calcification in the pineal gland. Meditation and yoga is a great way to do that. Massaging the body, massaging the seals, natural sunlight, also singing bowls. Singing bowls have a great impact on the neurological structure of the body and hence the brain waves. And the certain brain waves can actually decalcify the pineal gland as well. The high Vecca codes from the Freedom Teachings and the pineal transduction, which is the techniques that you have to look at a code, the high Vecca codes, and through a process of called transduction, pineal gland transduction, you place the code into the pineal gland, and this will start to remove toxins and things like that from the gland. We will be uploading those techniques on Telegram channel. It is considered one of the flame body activations, very powerful. Fitness exercises, drishti gazing technique. So that's like gazing at the sun during sunrise. Be cautious to do this with proper guidance and limit the gazing to 30 seconds or less at the start to get used to it. Clean water free from fluoride. So water filters, invest in a good water filter for washing the body, for cooking. I recommend some of the best water filters on our website, by the way, but whatever else you use, be sure that the chosen filter, it does get rid of fluoride completely, because a lot of them say they do, but they only say 99% of fluoride. You still have 1% of fluoride, which we don't need the fluoride at all. Plus, it is a well-known fact that fluoride enhances absorption of aluminium, which is responsible for Alzheimer's. And you know now why they spray the skies with aluminium. So, if you put the pieces of the puzzle together, you work out exactly why there's a increased percentage of people with Alzheimer's, that suffer from Alzheimer's nowadays. So I also recommend reduced Wi-Fi exposure, interacting with plants, surround your workplace with plants. If you work in an office environment, particularly full-time or part-time, be sure to have a Wi-Fi radiation block device on you, and maybe place a couple of detoxing and radiation absorbing plants on your work desk. Some of these plants are aloe vera, cactus, spider plants, that sort of thing. Be warned, there's no scientific, it's not substantiated scientifically, I guess, that plants do remove radiation completely, but you do feel it on a personal level. And besides that, it is very important to reduce any toxins in general and increase oxygen in the room. So if you need it for radiation blockage, then you might want to look into radiation blocking devices. They're really great. We do have a few in mind, but we'll not be able to share the names yet until we fully understand the mechanics of how they actually work, how they're built, and how they're made. And once we reach a consensus, we will recommend some of these through our social pages. Okay, now don't forget, this is something that tends to be forgotten, is salt water. Salt water is a natural ionizer. Practices like salt water nasal flushes are called jalaneti. They're perfect for detoxing the pineal gland. So you can also take regular dips in the ocean if you live close by. Go for walks in nature, especially if you live in an urban area close to the city. So they're pretty much the main ones. There's many more, but I can't list them all. It's just really common sense stuff, like eat good, breathe clean, drink clean water, surround yourself with nature, that sort of thing. Once your pineal gland begins to open, you will know. So a lot of people ask, how do we know a pineal gland is open? Well, you will know because how you felt before when your pineal was calcified, as opposed to how you feel after the pineal gland begins to open, is a tremendous difference. Your life begins to change, but sometimes also while the unblocking and the decalcification is taking place, uncomfortable symptoms arise. So it's important that you talk to your body and your higher self so you are not misguided by so-called healthcare professionals that mean well, that want to help you, but often lead you the wrong way because they don't understand that medication is not a long-term solution, if at all. So it's important you consult yourself first and trust your inner knowing when it comes to reading signs, especially when it comes to events occurring around the time you begin waking up and embarking on spiritual practices. Anytime that you begin embarking new spiritual practices, there's going to be symptoms and signs. So if you notice they start coming up, my suggestion would be to start journaling and making notes of every time something new, you notice something new in your body, because you'll be able to track it. And you'll find that these symptoms will eventually, they'll eventually go away after some time. So if you're starting to get headaches, it could be a sign that your pineal gland is starting to activate. Of course, we want to rule out a physical problem so that you can check if it's persistent and if it's too much a bother. Otherwise, that once you start with the spiritual practices, there's going to be some signs given to you by your body that new energy is being integrated somewhere, and that's just how it works. So the feeling that you get when it starts to open, so I'm going to list a few. I've listed a few here. I'm going to read them. First of all, improved sleep and sleeping patterns. You'll start to sleep deeply and with less interruptions. You'll wake up less during the night, and because your body's doing a lot of energetic work and it needs time and rest to integrate those things. Surge in creativity. You start thinking outside of the box. Heightened awareness and intuition, so that goes without saying. Pineal gland is a center for intuition, so when you start to open it, you will start to get direct cognitive messages without relying on outside sources. Improved mental clarity, better mood and emotional stability, because it's connection to the hypothalamus, which regulates emotions, breathing, movement in the body, sleep. So you have possibly also increased spiritual insights and deeper meditations, increased synchronicities. You start getting messages from the universe and synchronicities. A lot of people meet their twin flame during that time when they start working on pineal gland activation, especially if the twin is also doing the same work. Then you're both expand your consciousness and you connect on that level of frequency. So it's very powerful to bring you the people that are on the same frequency or a matching frequency as yourself. Increased synchronicities, reduced stress due to the regulation of hormone levels. So your hormones start to work differently and more regulated. Physically, you're healthier in general. Greater empathy and understanding of others, greater compassion, deep interconnectedness with other people, with the universe at large. You start to be magnetized towards esoteric teachings and mystical teachings in general, especially if you haven't been inclined before. Once it starts open, you start to, if you've never ever read an article about, say, spirituality before, you suddenly feel like you can, you're pausing. That's generally the first sign is you start to pause around spiritual articles, and even if you just read a little bit, but it's something that you previously would have not been interested in, so you'll notice that changes a lot. You start to notice also feeling and some subtle movement. You need to be very still for that, to notice that, but it's just like ants in the forehead. It's not bothersome, but it's very subtle and benign. You start to feel those movements. You start to feel reduced stress and increased positivity, although we do have times where that positivity goes, becomes very polarized, and it becomes total negativity, because when you start to wake up and realize the truth of the reality, and a lot of people start to see the truth from the untruth and know what is an illusion, what isn't, then it sort of shatters the reality a little bit. So you'll find you get bouts of positivity followed by bouts of negativity as well. So just embrace it, accept it. That's part of the journey. And obviously you'll start to have telepathic abilities, deep cognitive awareness, and deeper wisdom. Okay. A lot of people also report psychic abilities, clairsentience, clairaudience, and sixth senses become awakened, and that sort of thing. You also begin to have a heightened perception of oneself and the environment. You'll know what's happening without even being told. Sometimes things in advance, and you have premonitions and things like that. Especially in dream state, you'll be shown signs and symptoms which, as upon waking up, you'll be able to interpret them and know what's ahead. Sometimes you get those. Increased intuitive thoughts that leads the person inwards, so you'll be interested more in going within than exploring out what's outside of you. And there's always an altered state of experience, especially lucid dreaming, so going into dreams and feeling like you're awake in a dream. So it's not like you're unconscious, it's just an altered state of consciousness where you are there but not aware that you're there. However, when you pineal gland activates, it feels like you have been there, like it is real, the experience is real. So this will conclude the pineal gland decalcification practice. I will now talk about J-seals, and I will give you a little background history of J-seals, how it was implanted in us, in our biology and our fields, and how to remove those seals. Okay, the background of Jehovian implants, they're also known as crucifixion implants because they're considered to be energetic placements in the body that cause stress and prevent the soul waking up to knowing itself. This, if you like, is akin to a software or an Armageddon software, a sexual misery program that keeps you in the triangulation. It is a lockdown formula to keep us in the temporal realm, in the 3D third dimension, so locked within lower consciousness and triangulated between bodily, mental, emotional afflictions. And it's a cycle, and it's usually goes without saying, but when we lock down in the lower realms, we keep reincarnating over and over again. This software doesn't come intrinsically with the human genetics. It's actually imposed on humanity, not by our free will. It's purposely orchestrated through the grid works of consciousness and Earth's Templar to send humanity down an AI artificial intelligence timeline from where there is no return. So the end result of going down that path is those who are unaware, those who consent or unaware, end up in the fallen matrix and eventually into the black hole system, where they go back to being space dust. So these crucifixions are behind the story of Yeshua being nailed to the cross, putting humanity into a deep trance. And the resurrection is considered to be the awakening, the time when humanity realizes the afflictions and misery caused due to those seals and others. And the decision to wake up always involves the removal of any imprints that are and seals that are not natural for the human biology. And that's what's prevented the awakening for millions and millions of years. So these J-seals have been for so long the main contributors for ill health. They're the root cause of cancer and heart issues, energetically speaking, because every bodily disease has an energetic cause. And because they were placed in the seventh D axiotonal lines, which fall on the left side of the body, it actually affects and targets the feminine energy, the feminine principle mostly. And this is why we see the feminine subjugated and controlled due to the rise of the patriarchy. And in most cultures, religions, in politics even, you see the male domination. And you see the male dominant societies, cultures and politics, and they have not had a history of treating women equally in terms of taking away her rights and her free will, objectifying her and giving her a lower status than the male in most cases. Not to mention the female womb has been violated. The cosmic feminine potential has been degraded and reduced to merely reproductive organs without regard to her feelings, to her rights, to make her own decisions. Now, there's a long history behind that, because after the Council of Nicaea formed in 325 AD, the dark men and the priests who decided to take the feminine principle out of the sacred scriptures, namely the Bible, which, by the way, was originally based on the sacred Mahabharata texts, they twisted it severely. It became about the Holy Spirit and the masculine alone, the Father and the Son. This, of course, is contrary to the freedom teachings that expound and are based on the principle of the Trinity, the triad, the masculine, the feminine, and the Holy Spirit, which is the void, which does not originate from Christianity. On the contrary, it is meant to be the original teaching that got twisted to form what is now Christianity. They took the Mahabharata texts, the sacred text, twisted them to suit their needs, so that it gives rise and power to the patriarchy system. Many religions are now about indoctrination rather than advocation for what is true and what is real in the Mahabharata text and what is sacred. They twisted just about everything. And this was done purposely to eradicate the sacred womb of creation, the magnetic primal sound field. That's what they wanted to fall, in terms of not have any power and cease to exist completely, take it out of the picture. So they wanted the magnetic primal source field that contracts back to source after expansion into the primal light fields, that removed. They wanted that removed. Everything, as you know, works in synergy between the divine masculine and divine feminine. And without that proper equation and balance between divine feminine, divine masculine, one cannot operate, and that includes the universe, the earth, the planets, that cannot operate on a holistic level, and thus becomes mutated, becomes reversed, and unable to return to source. This was the intention behind the twisting, the perverting, the preventing, and the reversing of everything we know today to be the norm, quote unquote, the norm. Now, that's a bit of a background history of Jehovian seals, aka crucifixions. So, a little background story here about how it happened. Once upon a time, our planetary logos were invaded, and they were corrupted by the reptilian controllers, or the archons of the negative alien agendas, which I will refer to as NAA from now on. The planet and our race was impacted dramatically. One of the largest lies promoted to divide our race is the war over false gods. My God is better than yours is better than theirs. You know, there's a hierarchy about which God is the best. And that this false archetypal story of a crucified Christ figure is a mockery to further enslave the human race into believing in the story of salvation, or the salvation model, through a crucified Christ. So it gains the empathy of the people, and through this sympathy, through this false empathy and sympathy, people have no choice but to follow along, because fear of, you know, what might happen to them, and also because they want to redeem themselves, and you know, knowing that they were told that Christ died for their sins, so they had to redeem themselves and clear their karmas. That's the story they were being told, because all this represents a tortured human being, as we all are the Christ, and we have been crucified and implanted as our planet was actually invaded. These structures form what is called the crucifixion implants, which are the same as the J seals. And what that meant for humanity is that humanity was no longer able to decide its fate for itself. It became programmed, subjugated, and controlled. We were no longer free to create and evolve as per the original intention and the original blueprint for our intended creation. We had no memory of what happened to us because they erased the memory. We were recycled through continued reincarnation on the astral plane with no memory of past lives. or who we are, or where we're going, or what our real relationship with a true God is, who is the supreme consciousness. So we were also we were also kept in the dark about our true purpose, especially those that are indigos and those that hold a full human 12 DNA strand gene template. So over time, most of us lost the feeling of connection to our souls, let alone the Supreme Soul. We became numb to that pain in order to survive anti-human based structures. What had happened to our planet is not the humans doing that to our planet. I say this again because there's a lot of media out there, publications and false news, publicizing and falsely pushing the agenda that humans cause the destruction of their planet. That's to save themselves. We did not cause it. The humans did not cause this destruction. We were invaded, and we were invaded by non-human entities. We call them aliens, and they began their implanting us and messing with the grid works of consciousness. We call it the Templars, which are the stargates of the earth. So they began messing with all that. And the historical result of the NAA invasion was several mind control strategies. We still see mind control strategies now. Okay, there's a lot of those shootings around the world, a lot of those planned mass extinction events, mind manipulation and mind control. That's the effect of it. You can see it also throughout Hollywood, and pretty much every person on TV is mind controlled as well, because they have to fit into the narrative and play their game. And if anyone dares to speak up or question, they're eliminated instantly. So it's a big game that's been playing out for a long time. There's a psycho-spiritual warfare technology as well to support that. So they got the technology, they kept it hidden from us so we don't use it, know about it. That's to enslave humanity. And they use holographic inserts, which are energetic inserts, and they put them in the grid works. So when a baby is born, at fetal integration, at the 100th day, they acquire the metatronic mechanics. So we're at the moment, we're on a prison planet and we're trying to survive, but a lot of us are trying to fix the grid works. By doing this work, we do fix the grid works, especially running a 12D current all the time. If we can hold our post and run the 12D energy, it will fix a lot of the grid works around the earth. And it has so far worked because it's prevented a pole shift. Anyway, we'll come back to the J-seals. So the pain upon the planet was immense. The deepest trauma of suffering is when a being is fully disconnected from source and from source of creation. Our planetary logos was also invaded with multiple mutations of alien mind control programming, while siphoning our life force to other planets that serve alien agendas. One of the largest lies promoted to divide our race is the war over false gods. The false archetypal story of a crucified Christ figure is a mockery to enslave human beings into believing the salvation model through a crucified Christ. Now, these crucifixion implants are tangible control structures, and they're placed in the 7th dimensional logos. Therefore, it is our individual bodies, in the 7th chakra, the crown chakra. It runs through the complex structure, through the meridians, through the entire left side, or the female spirited, as mentioned before. We are not aware of these implants until they start to cause problems in our physical body. And when we start to seek connection with source, that's when we become aware of them, because they don't open, and when they don't open, we're running reverse, and then we start to feel the down spiral. So we start to get those negative effects of trying to open that connection. So we get invaded, or we get mutated, or the energy just simply runs downwards instead of up. And that causes symptoms, signs, and discomfort, amongst many other things. So there's also something called a demon seed, inverted 7D ray. Saturn is responsible for the solar 7th gate. It's been used to pump out reversal violet ray plasma, which, as you know, is connected to the crown chakra. But Saturn is used to run and reverse that 7D energy, the violet ray. And this is the distortion that generates reversal plasmas and reversal violet light on the planet. These reversal plasmas are designed to ignite and feed the demon seed that exists in the shadow cells or negative forms of the collective mind. Additionally, this alien construct was used to empower the crucifixion implants on vertical axiotonal lines on the left side in the planetary body, which also devastated the vertical channel alignment of the planetary staff. Another software used is called the Armageddon software. This is the software they use to conspire and plan mass hateful events and warring and cataclysm and fears, amongst many other fear programs. Their warfare mind control programs used on Earth to suppress the human consciousness, to make us hate one another. And this is a psycho-spiritual warfare strategy used against humanity by the NAAs through their false gods and false father satanic religions, to use this mind control to repeatedly kill and torture humans throughout war. The Armageddon software is the companion mind control system which is activated through the crucifixion implants as a holographic insert in the planetary body and the human body. Now, there is something called redemption contracts and redemptive vehicle contracts. This time now, during the stellar activation cycles from the year 2000, the stargates opened and allowed greater integration with higher codes that are meant to reverse anything that's running in reversal. The time begins now. It's called the time of restoration and redemption, which is about returning and reclaiming the Christic blueprint, the inner Christos blueprint, which is inherent to the human template, and bio-regenerate our spiritual bodies back to their original blueprint. So these redemptive contracts also support and alchemize the energetic cause and effect, which is also known as karma. The results from the accumulated belief systems on the planet, and that human beings such as Jesus or Yeshua was required to be killed for the salvation of humanity. So that's one big lie millions of people have been led to believe. The same parallel energetic result stems from human belief systems that include a sacrifice to God and to ensure one's salvation. That's also a great lie. The false belief system is a deviant subset development program created by core Christ crucifixion insert, which was a distorted belief system propagated by holographic energetic inserts and mind programming placed in the human being's collective mind matrix. This manipulation caused the human being to believe subconsciously and consciously that it was necessary to kill each other in the name of God and for personal salvation. Because so many humans on this planet have this belief system based on the cross and crucifixion theology, based upon the NAA's religion and mind control, the energetic cause and effect was disastrous to the expansion of humanity's consciousness to achieve liberation, freedom, sovereignty, and godhood in the ascension cycles. So that prevented our ascension into the proper and true ascension cycle. Certain beings agreed to incarnate. They're also referred to as the redeemers, to alchemize and transform these energetic creations, the implants, and the holographic architecture of the distorted belief pattern of all these outdated beliefs. This is called soul retrieval process and soul healing work, and this has to be done on a planetary scale. These suffering souls have been killed over the wars for defending God, or made as blood sacrifices, were the energetic power source harnessed to retain the crucifixion insert and its belief system architecture. One of the main systems of the planetary control is religious fundamental Christian programming, the Islamic Sharia law, many pagan sacrifices, dark magic rituals, etc. Those were mind control and still are mind control manipulations to worship false gods, and the energetic results of those are to vampire the divine human soul and spirit and life force. And in order to convince you to do that, they introduced what is called a false ascension timeline. This false ascension program or timeline is propagated through the New Age teachings that promise also the grass is greener on the other side. So people will just stop resisting and completely surrender to what is in the now, not questioning the narrative and not even asking any questions related to their own well-being. They just follow blindly and trust the process. So that creation of false ascension timeline is created in the Irae, which is the divine feminine path through stargates 4, 7, 10, namely. It affects all others, of course, but the 4, 7, 10 is the path, the left path as well. So as you can see, the left path has been heavily targeted, being the female spirit or the feminine path. They targeted our root chakras, which is 1, Stargate 1. The 4th corresponds to the astral plane, and the 7th, which is a planetary collective logos or the mind collective. So they kept us locked into the fear and the flight and fight through the root chakra, which is 1, corresponds to first chakra, the root chakra. The 4th, the astral, the heart, keeping our hearts blocked. And so blocking the hearts through the Anubis black heart implant, or through New Age teachings that promote the concept of open your heart to just about anybody. That way they can loose the energy of your love and your giving, your benevolence. They can loose onto that energy. And then the 7th planetary logos, the collective mind, and that's through karma, cause and effect. So these heavy coordinate points that cross into and they flood the energy channels into the axiotonal lines of that 4, 7, 10 path now are being repaired. They're being repaired through D12 energy and the Kirashe and the Amriya. So since the planetary 7th dimensional axiotonal line is a main disruption of a false Christ crucifixion implant, this is disrupting their project. They're not very happy that we've come along and we are repairing things, because that's going and is actually disrupting their progression to own the world and create a one world government. So the 7th ray, which is a violet ray flame, is being transmitted through the planetary 7th axiotonal line and is being recoded by the proper frequencies. Previously, this false crucifixion energy implanted in the 7th axiotonal line was feeding another false program through the astral plane like a mirage, like a false reflection. This mirage is the false ascension program. So if you see the color violet in reference to like Saint Germain and these false prophets, you can actually you can conclude that there's some false ascension timeline behind that. They always use the astral plane. They use the astral plane because it's the lower astral plane actually belongs to them. They can put whatever inserts they want in there, and they can hijack any person who's unaware from the astral plane. And the seventh dimension is a violet plane, flame, and planetary logos, or the group mind, or the collective mind. And they all intersect, and that for so long has been feeding the enslavement and the mind control programming. That was a little bit of a background history, and just to name a few of those programs they used as crucifixion implants. And now how to remove these Jehovian seals and implants put in the energetic body of the earth and our bodies. So there is an entire removal command for crucifixion, and there's also a J-seal removal technique on our channel. So check that out in our Telegram channel, and you can check a community post we've made a few weeks ago in the updates section titled Cheilontic Science Techniques and Sequences. The J-seal technique will remove implants in 7 bodily locations. We do that using the high Vecca codes. These codes are colored codes, and they're mathematical formulas in order to recode the DNA to its original codex. So they're printed in color format, and we recommend you printing then looking at them on the screen, and then as you chant the corresponding sound or tonal sound, then you simultaneously you maintain the gaze at the code and take it in through the pineal gland, and that works to remove the J-seals from the bodies. You can also visit our website, our YouTube channel, and we have the technique there called J-seals removal technique. It's very powerful. We had a lot of positive reviews, and after people have used it even once, and they can feel the difference. They felt the energy movement through their bodies, and yeah, powerful stuff. We highly recommend that. Now, just to address the location of those 7 implants in the left side of the body, as I said before, they are situated on the 7th axiotonal line on the left side. The first one is at the top of the skull on the left side. Second one is the heart, the lung, and the back of the left knee. That's all one insert. The third one is a pineal gland. No wonder why people have trouble opening the pineal glands. The left side of the neck and the lymphatic system, the rear left thigh and the buttocks, and the alta major, where the skull rests on top of the spine, the hypothalamus, and the left shoulder. So if you're having shoulder problems, if you have headaches on the left side, you know, that could be a sign there's some J-seals there. And the aorta artery on the left side of the neck. So these are the locations of the 7 seals that have been implanted in the axiotonal line. I hope this was helpful. Oh, sorry, I want to go back one step. Sorry, trying to rush this so I don't go over 1 hour. But we have a J-seal removal technique, but also there's a command, a removal command that you can vocalize as well. And it goes as follows. Beloved, bring in the universal harmonics in an oscillating wave format to recode all bi-wave systems into the Trinity wave formats to create the crystal star communication stations here and now. I we request the removal of all crucifixion patterns and their implants to be removed from your name in all areas in the sequence necessary to support the optimization and ascension of this beloved land, and within all beings we have permission to represent in this time and space. Terminate and resolve all inorganic and alien influences, terminate all enslavement records from impacting this land with intent to harm or hurt. So you can do this for yourself, or you can do it for the grid works, the Earth's grid works. So that sums up the entire process of the implant removal command. And this brings me to the end. So I hope this was helpful. It's quite lengthy, but I intentionally wanted to provide an in-depth explanation of these two very important aspects that keep us blocked, unable to move forwards and upwards, let alone expand into the Omni universe and return home. Leave your comment below, leave a review if you've used our J-Seal technique. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I just want to say on a side note, we cancelled out all ads that interrupt the J-Seal technique meditation. So we've been informed that there were a few ads there. So we've removed all those ads. Much love and thank you for being here.